All right, guys, so let's talk about AI. This is definitely a topic that I've covered a few times on the channel. I haven't gone fully into depth about my particular viewpoints on it, and I know it's definitely a big just point of concern and worry for a lot of you guys and for all of humanity. I don't think it's just us here in sync licensing land, right? But this idea that AI, artificial intelligence, is going to be coming online, if not already online, and will basically be replacing human beings in everything, not just TV, film, sync licensing, but let's just obviously narrow it down to, will AI replace us as composers for TV, film, licensing, all that kind of stuff that we do? So let's just start off with what I can tell you in terms of a disclaimer for this video. I have no idea. Honestly, nobody really knows the future. So anybody claiming it's definitely going to do this, it's definitely going to do that, it's going to replace us here, it's not going to replace us there, I think we can all kind of just wipe out any certainty of this topic out of our minds because it's the future. And if anybody really knew the future, they'd be a trazillionaire investing in their perfect stocks, getting in and out at the right time. So nobody really has that knowledge or insight. Of course, we can see trends. We can see what technology has done in the past. We can kind of make predictions, with relative certainty in some ways, but in many ways, especially with the new technology and AI that's coming on board, we can't really predict into the future past probably 10 to 15 years because things are changing so quickly and so fast, and new industries are being born based on these new technologies, so we don't even know what new jobs or opportunities are going to be here in the next 10 years. So I just want to make sure that we are not trying to become, fortune tellers here and know what's happening in the future. At least as I've gotten older, realized the limits of my abilities to predict the future. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this business, okay? So the first point I want to make about AI and with new technologies is that the hype of a new technology always precedes the widespread adoption of it. And often it can be by decades, okay? So right now, AI is obviously a buzz term. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's wondering, is it going to take over this? Is it going to take over that? Is it going to replace us as composers? Just know that there is always hype and a lot of talk and chatter about a brand new technology that oftentimes far precedes when it actually comes online and starts making actual differences and changes in the world, okay? So 2011 was the start of Bitcoin. This is one example. I first heard about it, I think, in 2013, and I was like, it's kind of interesting, I don't know. And 2013, 2014, the more I got into it, I was like, this, and I remember telling my friend, embarrassing, I have to admit this now, I remember telling my buddy in Vegas, Bitcoin's going to replace the dollar by 2020 easily, like way before that, maybe by 2018. So, and this is what a lot of people were talking about, that Bitcoin was so disruptive that it was going to completely change the name of the game in terms of finances and banking and transferring wealth and storing wealth and all this kind of stuff, that it was going to completely change the entire world and how we think about money. Well, obviously here we are in 2022 and Bitcoin has gotten bigger, it's gotten more influential, and there's definitely a lot more going on there, but it hasn't replaced, anybody's particular, at least here in the West, it hasn't replaced our day-to-day, use of money. Definitely some people I think are using it more often, and there are definitely countries around the world that are adopting it more seriously. You can see the trajectory. It is going to be probably continuing on that trajectory, but I was way, way, way too early in thinking that was going to happen by 2020, okay? Another one was 2015 when VR headsets became popular. There was the Oculus, the Oculus Rift was the first one. I remember buying the developer kit. I was so excited. And I was thinking, by 2020, this is going to be as popular as cell phones. Everybody's going to have a VR headset and everybody's going to be living in these virtual worlds. And I thought, because 2015 was this big hype of it, by 2020, there we would be. And here we are. It's gotten a little bigger. It still hasn't quite taken off. It's still looming in the future. I don't think it's become, obviously, mainstream yet. So we probably still have another 5-10 years maybe before that becomes. There's definitely some things with the technology that needs to be updated before that becomes sort of mainstream. So I just want to kind of caution everybody in terms of getting ahead of yourself thinking should I even get started with making music if AI is going to come in the next year or two and replace us? If it comes in and replaces us and the technology, and by the way, I think in the long run, it will be able to replace us. I don't think there's any chance it will not be able to create music that's so amazing and beautiful and customized. This is the future of technology. I would be a fool to assume that's not going to be happening. It's definitely going to be happening. There's AI that creates music now, or you call them algorithms, whatever you want to call them. They're not that I wouldn't say they're that interesting yet. The music I've heard from some of the companies that are doing it, it's like kind of loop based stuff that you can kind of plug and play and do this and that. But that dynamic emotion, that human emotion, isn't there yet. But you better believe it will be in the future. Now, when, how long will that take? That's the kind of thing that I have to just tell you guys, honestly, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be next year. I don't think it's going to be 2 years from now. I don't even think it's going to be 5 years from now. I think we still got a good 10, 15, probably 20 years before that AI technology becomes that good that it starts to completely, change the game. And it's not going to just change the game for sync licensing. It's going to change the game for everything. But again, I'm not saying I know that for sure. It could be 50 years. It could be 100. I don't know. I really don't know. This is all completely just me guessing into the future. But I don't think it's an immediate threat. I don't think it's something that would stop us from getting started with sync licensing or continuing on with sync licensing if you've already got a foot into it. I still think obviously there's plenty of time to earn income and to do well in this business, okay? And then number two, I want to also just point out that with all new technologies come new opportunities. So remember, right now, the only reason why we're doing what we're doing in sync licensing is because of three technological advances: cable TV, the internet, and all the software that came out. You can call, I guess, also computer hardware as well. But basically, computers, software, the cable TV industry, and the internet. Those three coming online simultaneously, or at least right after another, or kind of overlapping, is the only reason why I was able to do this full time. I'm so grateful for new technology because new technology opened up this business for me. It opened up my ability to do music as a living, right? And it's allowing you guys to pursue it. Some of you guys have already gotten there, but many of you guys are obviously pursuing it. Well, thank the technology gods for giving us the internet, cable TV, and software and hardware and all the things that we can have now in our home studios. I mean, just think about all the different types of sounds you can get on a computer now that before you'd have to go to a orchestra, you have to go to a studio, you have to pay live musicians to do all this kind of stuff. Impossible to get into. It's such a barrier to get into creating music. And now it's literally on your keyboard. You can have an orchestra, you can have a horn section, you can have a guitar player, a drummer, literally anything you can think of, it's right there in your computer. So this is all amazing. So what new industries are going to pop up? What new opportunities are going to pop up as a result of AI? I have no idea. You probably don't know. But I guarantee you there will be opportunities because that's the trend that we see every single time. With a new technology comes new industry and new opportunities. So will there be new industries or new ways to make income with our music as a result of AI coming on board? I guarantee you there will. I don't know what they would be. I couldn't, if I was back in 1990 telling you, guys, there's going to be these things called social media networks, or there's going to be this and that, there's going to be these VR headsets, blah, 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 blah. You can't really predict what's going to happen, obviously, 10 years out into the future with all this stuff happening so quickly. But you can definitely see all the way back from the Industrial Revolution to now with these big advances in technology, every single time we are able to create new industries, new opportunities, new growth. But again, you have to have the eyes for that, right? So if you constantly are seeing, and this is a very common, I think it's a mind virus. There's a common sort of negativity that a lot of people are putting on technology, thinking that any new technology is going to just be the death of us, to ruin us, be the end of our world. I choose to not see it that way. I think technology is neutral. I don't think it has a positive spirit or a negative spirit in it at all. I think it can be used to do whatever you want to do with it. It can take you away from what you want to get out of life, or it can get you closer to where you want to get out of life. So it can be used for both, but so could fire, right? Since we had learned how to put together a fire, we could have cooked our food with it, or we could have burned down our neighbor's house. So every form of technology can be used for, I call that good and evil. So let's not worry so much about the essence of what a technology is, but let's just look at it in terms of how can I benefit from this? And if I can't, all right, I'll leave it alone. That's not the technology for me. If it's something that I feel like I can get an opportunity through, let me just get curious about it and find out what happens with it, okay? In the end, this is what I want to leave you guys with. Please don't despair. So keep on this path if you feel it's right for you. If you feel like sync licensing is what you are excited about, it's still providing you a lot of momentum and meaning and energy in your life, and you feel good about what you're doing with it, keep doing it, okay? There's no reason to give up. There's no sign out there that I'm looking at, or some development that I'm like, we probably should just sort of throw in the towel at this point. I still feel that the opportunity is there. There's so much new content coming on board. There's so many new clients that are needing new music, and there's way more places to make income with your music now than there ever has been in the history of mankind. That's for sure a reality, okay? So it's like you're at this big Wild West opportunity moment in time, and closing up shop right now I think would be a very foolish thing, especially if you're feeling really, really good about it. So just keep doing what you're doing. The future is unknown, right? As I started this video, that's how I'm going to end it, completely unknown. But if you're doing what you love today, like today, right now, creating music, what you're going to do with your library or with your album, whatever you put it together, that's not a mistake, right? You can't be making a mistake if what you're doing right now is exactly what you love. It's what's driving you. It's what you're passionate about. There's no way that this is a mistake or that you're making some kind of a wrong move. So please just keep on with whatever path you're keeping on. That's what I got for you guys. I'm curious to your guys' thoughts. If you have any sort of counterpoints, you agree with what I'm saying, you disagree with what I'm saying, post it below. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this topic, which I know is very important and potentially worrying for a lot of people who are getting involved in sync licensing. So can't wait to read your comments.